All righty, we are live. Isn't this exciting? Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Keith Wilson. I am the playwright producer of 846, and I just want to thank you all so much for joining in, those that are joining in live. So I'm going to be trying to go back and forward into the YouTube uh, to see if there's any questions that you may have or anything like that, so that way I can make sure that we address those. But I'm just so thankful to everyone that has been giving us likes, thumbs up, and congratulations on Facebook. And also, I just want to give a shout out to our local media, Galveston Daily News and I-45. Thank you all so much for the interviews and also just amplifying this story. And a lot of the people that have been asking, they've been asking why this story and why the amplification of the voices is just because these are voices that I personally have not heard from in regards to their 9/11 stories. And so I'm just really excited to be able to have a time and opportunity to talk, well, not so much to talk about it, but for these characters to give their story. So I want to welcome you all to our virtual table reading of 846. It's a choreo play. And I want to bring in some of our cast that we have with us. All righty, we're bringing them in. Hey guys, how are y'all?
Hey, good, good, good. Fantastic.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Please make sure, guys, that if you're able to share the link and tell people to come on in and join us. For the reading, we're going to be getting started shortly. But before we get started, I want to go ahead and read to you the 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 character descriptions that are in the play itself. So the first character that we have is Olivia Harrington. She's a white British journalist in her mid 30s with a speaking voice reminiscent of Adele. Adopted by artist parents at age 8, she studied filmmaking at NYU and is now focused on a passion project to amplify marginalized voices. Empathetic but unaware of her own savior complex, her well meaning but naive approach often clashes with the survivors' realities. So Olivia, we have Olivia. Now we're going on to Mr. Miguel Ramos, a Latinx man in his early 40s from the Dominican Republic. Miguel is a former Broadway performer who lost his lover Elias and colleagues on 9/11. Now a musical theater teacher, he hasn't returned to the stage. Though he maintains a happy demeanor, he is still grieving and distrustful uh, of outsiders, reliant on his community and faith to cope. We have Khadija Muhammad, a Black woman in her mid 40s. Khadija narrowly escaped the Twin Towers on 9/11 and suffers from severe PTSD. She is fiercely independent, often feeling isolated and chasing and clashing with Olivia, whose intentions she questions and views with skepticism. We have Mr. Luis Alvarez, a Latinx community organizer in his 40s. Luis lives near Miguel and Khadijah. He was a paralegal for Gayer, Shu, and Weasel. He lost friends and co-workers in the attacks um, and supporters. He's charismatic and outspoken. He challenges media portrayals and Olivia's assumptions, advocating for justice and authenticity. Then we have our last character, which is Iris Gomez, Black Latinx woman in her 40s of Puerto Rican descent. Iris was a rookie NYPD police officer during 9/11 and was trapped in her car when the towers collapsed. Deeply scared, She's a protective and empathetic leader with the survivors support group, ensuring their stories are respected. So this is the lowdown of our characters. And what we'll do, I'll be reading the character Miguel, and we're going to go ahead and get started. If you're watching and you have questions or anything like that, we ask that you just jot those down, and we'll try to address those at the end when we do our talk back. So don't leave. Once we finish this conversation, once we finish the reading of the play, do not leave because we definitely want to hear some feedback if you're there and you want to talk about what you just witnessed. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to pull up my script because I'll be reading. And yeah, there we go. So, 8:46, a choreo play in one act. The stage is dark with a low hum vibrating through the space, building tension. Suddenly, a single spotlight bursts onto the center stage, revealing Khadija in mid step, frozen in time as if caught between movements. The hum grows louder, transforming into a pulse, like a heartbeat, as one by one the lights snap on, each one illuminating another character. Miguel and Luis, all in different positions, reacting to an unseen force. Their expressions are tense, eyes wide, bodies poised as if bracing for impact. The air is thick with anticipation.
Page
8:46.
42. This ain't no regular day. Something in the air, something thick, like we breathe in fear.
Like the earth is split wide open, like a swallow in a hole. Unmute your mic, Terrence. Terrence, can you hear us? It says your mic isn't connected. All right. As one knows, we have technical difficulties in the world of Zoom theater. So give us a second to get this taken care of. All right. While we're waiting, let's go ahead and do a mic check, everyone. Iris, go ahead.
Hi, how are you?
Can hear you. Olivia.
Hiya.
All righty. Miguel.
Hello.
Khadija.
Hello.
Very good. And now we're waiting on Luis to come back for his mic check. So while we're waiting on Luis, um, today has been, I don't know, today has been kind of a crazy day because we all know we just witnessed a crazy debate yesterday. And so, in the midst of that crazy debate, the day after, which was 9/11, and there were a lot of festivities happening at at Ground Zero, the memorial site, and they were reading off the names. I don't know. It was just a weird shift of energy today to go from that crazy debate moment into now this whole commemoration anniversary thing. What are your thoughts on that?
Can you hear me now, Brian Keith?
I can hear you. You're good.
Perfect.
Any thoughts on the crazy shift of going from the crazy debate to the commemoration of the 23rd anniversary?
I had a thought just that after the debate last night and listening to some of the things that um, Donald Trump had to say, or the lack thereof, rather, um, it really made me. It really made me wonder how much reverence do we really have for our country and our freedom, right? When I think about September 11th, 2001, and the horrific, like, visuals that you could see, the sound, the tangible things that were in the air. It makes me question, why are people not more serious about our freedom? Why are they not more serious about our democracy? And I'm saying serious because some of the things that are said by individuals who are running for the highest office, as a matter of fact, running for the office that would in essence, you know, dictate how safe we are, right? I was listening to, ex-president Donald Trump last night, and I thought to myself, he could get us blown up. Like, this idea that you have the audacity to send a photo of a terrorist house to him and say, I need you to think about what you're about to do next. Why would you do that? You're speaking on behalf of all 8 million, however many, you're speaking on behalf of the entire America at that point. Right. And so, how dare you have the audacity to put us in harm's way like that just because you want to be senseless? But those are my thoughts.
I don't think people have understood or understand the gravitas of what the next 4 years will be like for individuals when we look at the makeup of our Supreme Court, when we look at the House and our Senate, and how all those, besides being affected on a national level, right? The importance of voting within your city and your state's legislation and government are so important, and it's almost become like a TV show, and it's become a mockery where it's like no one's looking at the totality of, everybody wants to be moral, but no one's looking at the societal mores of what is going to be impacted, what it is doing to individual rights, as well as the citizens of this country, and how we're being looked at through the lens and through the chasm of the world in itself. It's sad, and it's depressing, and for some of us who are black and brown, who didn't have an opportunity of getting the vote until the 60s, and seeing what's happening, the de-escalation and the devolving of human decency, and looking at and realizing why we became a nation, like a republic and a democracy, and all of that is being eradicated slowly but surely, where somebody wants to be almost like a dictatorship, like a Papa Doc dictatorship. Like, it's disgusting, and there's no respect for the office, there's no respect for the people that vote um, the individual into the office. There's no respect for what it means to be this quote unquote superpower. We're more like super bullies and a joke.
Yeah. So before we dive deep into that conversation, let's go ahead and go through the script and do some reading, and then we can come back and revisit those questions. I'm having some technical difficulties in getting Chantez pulled up, but hopefully we'll have that worked out by the end. And remember, again, actors, I'm not going to be interjecting with stage directions.
Mhm.
unless it's something very specific. But let's go ahead and get started. And we have a little audience, so that's exciting. So thank you all so much for joining us tonight. And let's go ahead and get started with 846. I'll start with reading the stage directions at the top of the show, and we'll go ahead and get this thing cracking. The stage is dark, with a low hum vibrating through the space, building tension. Suddenly, a single spotlight bursts onto the center stage, revealing Khadija, in mid-step, frozen in time, as caught between moments. The hum grows louder, transforming into a pulse like a heartbeat, as one by one the lights snap on, each one illuminating another character. Miguel and Luis, all in different positions, reacting to a unforeseen unseen force. Their expressions are tense, eyes wide, bodies poised as if bracing for impact. The air is thick with anticipation.
846.
46.
Six.
This ain't no regular day. Something in the air, something thick, like we breathe in fear.
Like the earth is split wide open, like it's swallowing us whole.
Corazon beats too fast, like it knows before I do.
I feel it in my bones, the weight, the crash, the burn.
The world is changing, and we just watching.
846.
846.
Time stopped,
Heart stopped.
But we still here.
still breathing.
Still feeling.
846.
846.
The world is shattered.
But we still standing.
Still fighting.
We still here.
Hello, this looks well nice, yeah? You must be Lewis, right? I'm Olivia. Heard lots about the crew. Proper tough to be here, I am.
Yeah, I'm Luis. It's a support group for folks who were at the Trade Center on 9/11. You here for a meeting?
Oh, I ain't part of the crew or nothing, but I'm here to chat with you lot, yeah? Want to get your stories down, innit? Like do a proper documentary on the voices of 9/11 that no one ever hears. Give people a chance to finally tell the side, the bits that no one talks about.
Where are you from, white lady?
London, yeah? Just a rundown spot over east, not far from Westminster.
Yeah, you don't sound like you from around here. So why you want to know tell our story? Why do you care? Plenty of folks got stories to tell. Question is why you want to tell ours.
Look, I think it's proper important, isn't it? So many voices get blanked, especially from your people, yeah? I want to shine a line on that. Let everyone clock what you lot been through. How you've been held it down, how you've held it down. It could be powerful, you get me?
Powerful, huh? I ain't against telling our stories. Lord knows folks need to hear it. But what I am against is people coming in here trying to use our pain to make a name for themselves. We've been through enough. Wouldn't be like without being somebody's tragedy of the week.
No, it ain't like that. I ain't here to take advantage of no one. I really want to help, yeah? Give voice to ones who ain't been heard.
It's always the same thing. Somebody comes in, says they want to help, want to give us a voice, but then they leave. And we're still here dealing with all this mess. You want to help? Maybe start by listening first. We've been to hell and back and can tell you right now, this is a group of people that don't take kindly to strangers. It's
Who's a new face? She don't look like she from around here.
Yeah. What's with the accent? She auditioning for Harry Potter?
She one of them reporters or something. here to stir shit up.
I told her that if she wanted to know about this group,
Mhm.
she needs to listen first. If things get weird, then I'll tell her to leave.
Thank you. Because I would hate to have to throw little Miss T and her crumpets out on her Burberry scarf.
Whew. Well, good evening, family. This here is Olivia.
Mm.
She says she wants to document our stories. Make sure that the people hear what we all have to say about 9/11.
Oh, so now we special, huh? Took 20 years for somebody to give a damn.
You think you can just waltz in here, point a camera at us, and you know us? Know what we've been through?
I need to mug anyone off.
What the fuck she say? Lady, I don't trust white people since y'all done took all over Harlem and Brooklyn. Luis, I didn't sling my titties over a hot stove making this gumbo to be persuaded to unload my trauma with one of the Spice Girls. So good people, enjoy the gumbo. And Iris, you bring me back my plate when y'all finish.
Ma'am?
Khadijah.
Khadijah. Oh, I'm well tired of them. Same old documentaries, always making about white people. I just believe your stories matter, like they need telling. You get me?
Important to who, though? You? Your viewers? What about to us? We the ones who gotta live with this every day, not just when the camera's rolling.
You see what I'm saying? It ain't that we don't want to talk. We just don't want to. We just want to know it's gonna matter. That it's not just for show.
No way, Lewis. There's more pieces to this puzzle. Telling our stories isn't the issue for me. It's who will monetize from this. Who we will sign the waiver and you will leave here, grab your Emmy, and we will still be sitting in here waddling in our shit that we still can't shake after 23 years.
And then she painted to be the great white hope. This has happened so many times. Jenny Livingston. She took the ballroom scene, turned it upside down with Paris is Burning, and left all the kids high and dry, honey. It became an award-winning documentary, and still those kids don't have a pot to piss in now or a window to throw it out of. So, Miss White Lady from London, I'm here. I'm not here for it, okay? And I can speak for the group on this one. We'll pass.
I want to make you all producers. Equal to me.
Honey, sign me up. Where's the camera, huh? I'm ready for my close-up, Mrs. DeMille.
This nigga here just like a damn puppy. Do something shiny that makes noises in his face and he's distracted.
You know, you want to know about us, yeah? But who are you? Why us? Why our stories?
My name's Olivia Danby.
Damn, babe.
Yeah, that's right. I got adopted when I was 8. My dad, he was
A painter. A Bayo Dambe.
yeah, you know his work, yeah?
I knew your father.
Wait a minute.
Serious, man?
I saw your father every morning. I worked the information desk on the first floor and saw him every morning. And when he would come downstairs to sketch, he was sketching this,
The sketchbook, that?
had his initials embossed on the front.
Hey, this is getting weird. So you're telling me that you know old Scary Spice's father?
I did.
Mm.
I saw him every day. He loved how I used to tie my hair up. Said it used to remind him of his sisters back in Africa. I used to tie my hair up like Erica Badu back in the day.
She shows him in the right place, the right time, innit?
Or are you some crazy British weirdo that Googled us and found some way to make a story up and now you want to make money off of us? I don't know, y'all.
I met Michael Richards through your father. He and Michael introduced me and my girl Charlene to the world of fine art at a gallery showing in Harlem. Charlene was this boogie down chick from the Bronx, and she had a mad crush on Michael. But Michael, he was feeling me though. Michael is here as an artist in residence with the world's views and studioscapes. So I got to see what the city looks like on the 100th floor because that's where their studios were. At that event, Abeo shared stories of his wife and daughter back in England, expressing how much he missed home. My God, you were just a baby then. Those two Black kings were so talented, and the world never had a chance to know them and their art. That's why I say their name every chance I get.
What you mean by say the names then?
Baby, in the Black community, saying his name keeps their memory alive. A practice rooted deeply in honoring and remembering our ancestors. Michael and Abeo are here, and their spirit remains through us, acknowledging their names and their legacy. Ooh, so let's say their names. Michael Richards.
Michael
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 Richards.
Richards.
Ashe. And Abeo Dembe.
Abel
Abeo
Dembe.
Dambe.
Ashe.
He never stopped hanging out, banging on about New York, you know? The art, the people, all them things. He saw in the towers. I always wondered what he really saw, what he felt, and now being here with you all, it's like finding a bit of him. I don't just want to tell these stories for everyone else. I want to get to know him better and get to know you lot too.
Maybe you're here for more than just a story. Maybe you do want to understand. But if we do this, it's on our terms. You don't get to just show up and take what you want.
Yeah, definitely. I want this to be as much yours as it is mine. Your stories, your voices, you lead. I'm just here to listen.
All right, then. You listen. But know this. One wrong move and you out, girl. You got it?
Understood.
We've had folks come around before saying they want to help, want to tell our stories. But like Iris said, they take what they need and leave. Now, this time, we do it right. We do it for us, not for anyone else.
Our pain is not for sale, Olivia. And if we let you in, it's because we believe you'll do right by us. But know this, our stories, they're sacred. They're all we have left. I respect that, and maybe, just maybe, we can work together.
So you want to be a part of this. You got to be ready to see the truth. Not just the parts that make for a good story, the ugly, the raw, the parts that don't get wrapped up with a nice bow. Can you handle that?
Yeah, that's it. I ain't looking away. I want to see it all, tell it all. The world needs the truth, your truth. And I swear, I won't turn me back.
This ain't no fairy tale. This is our life. You want to tell our story? You walk with us. Feel what we feel. Only then you can speak our truth.
All right. All right. Enough of all this heavy stuff now. Let's eat before Khadijah's gumbo gets cold.
Mm.
We got enough food here to feed the whole neighborhood. All right, Miguel, you got those plates?
You know it. Let's dig in.
Mm. It was supposed to rain that day. Just like it is now. The forecast said showers, a gentle drizzle, something to wash the city clean, to cool the heat off the pavement. But the sky had other plans. Instead, it was a clear day that rained bodies, falling from the heavens like broken angels, crashing down with a force that took the breath out of the air. I watched helpless as they tumbled, arms outstretched like they were reaching for something, anything to hold on to. But there was nothing, just the cold, cruel winds and the unforgiving ground beneath. And the paper, so much paper, fluttering down like confetti at a parade. But this was no celebration. Sheets of it, thousands, maybe millions, each a fragment of a life, a story, a dream. Invoices, memos, family photos, all scattered, all lost. The wind carried them away like whispers of a world that no longer existed. The debris followed, dark and heavy, like the storm that never came. And hunks of steel and glass, twisted and mangled, torn from their place in the sky. They felt like judgment, reminding us that nothing was safe, nothing was sacred anymore. But the rain never came. This guy held back his tears, left us to cry for it, to mourn what we couldn't save. I stand here now and I can still see it. The bodies, the paper, the debris, a storm that never passed, a rain that never fell. It's all there, etched in the corner of my mind. A memory I can't escape. A rain that keeps falling, even when the sky's clear.
Khadija, your words, they're powerful. I can't pretend to know what it was like for you, for any of you, but I want to understand. I want to honor what you've been through, what you still carry.
Don't do that.
Well, I just...
It ain't about understanding, Olivia. Some things you can't understand unless you live it. We don't need your white tears and understanding. If you're here to listen, really listen, then do that.
When someone is exposing their trauma, they're offering a piece of their soul, a truth often buried beneath pain and silence. To listen is not just an act of kindness, it's a recognition of their humanity. It acknowledges their experience, validating their struggle and standing with them in their moment of vulnerability. Listening is the bridge that connects us, fosters understanding and healing in a world that is desperately needs it. It's through listening that we can begin to mend the wounds of the past and create a more compassionate future.
Movies can be so PC.
I will shut up. So right here and listen.
Thank you.
Miguel, you okay, hermano?
Yeah, I'm good. Just thinking.
Well, you don't have to if you don't want to.
Oh, it's all right. It's time. You want to know what it's like, Olivia? You want to honor what we've been through.
Yeah, Miguel. I want to understand as much as I can.
Well, I used to live for the spotlight. You know, there was a time when the lights of Broadway felt like a warm embrace wrapping around me, letting me know I belong. I remember my first night on that stage in Chicago. You know, the rush of the crowd, the thrill of the performance. It was everything I had ever dreamed of. My first Broadway show was a fucking Fosse masterpiece. Look, I stared in the mirror in my sexy black tank top and tight ass jazz pants with my black boiler hat tilted to the side. I was living a dream that I manifested. Anne Reinking picked me herself from the Broadway Theater Project. She said in her raspy voice, "You're a natural. Bobby would have loved you, kid." I was ready. Look, I looked in the mirror and said, "It's showtime, folks." And then there was Elias. Elias was my everything. Mm. You know, my muse, my heart, my partner in every sense of the word. And we had plans, dreams, a life together. We talk about how we talk about our wedding, about how incredible it would be to walk down the aisle when it finally became legal. I had this sexy Fosse solo planned for the reception, all planned with sexy tight see-through shirt cut down to here, and these black jazz pants that he'd love for me to wear that hug my ass just right, honey. His touch. Mm, that man knew how to make me squirm. He knew what buttons to push. He would play me like a funky piano. And we planned it all until the world changed forever. And that day, that day stole more from me than just my love. It ripped away a future I had been so close to reaching. Elias was there that morning in those towers trying to make his way out. He was trapped in the North Tower. He called me when the plane hit and told me that he was okay and was headed to the staircase, and I was one of the lucky ones. Funny that my luck was funny that my luck was what that I th- funny that my luck was that I thought I was able to come down to the ground zero, but and go into that trailer filled with mangled dead bodies and pick them out. The worst thing I had to do in my life. But not only was my pain there, the pain for the thousands of people that went through what I went through was there too. And here I am, standing there. Never imagined I'd have to bury him. Never thought I'd be left with just memories of the dreams we shared. And now here I am teaching high school theater. Never thought I'd be the one sharing my joy of performance with a new generation instead of feeling it myself. The stage has become a memory, a bittersweet reminder of what once was. And every time I hear the sound of applause, it's like an echo from another life, a life that was taken from me, along with Elias. But now I stand in front of my students, smiling, encouraging them to chase their dreams, even as mine are buried beneath the rubble of that fateful day. I teach them about the magic of theater, about the art of becoming someone else, of stories, of telling stories that matter. But every lesson, every performance is a reminder of what I lost and what I may never have again. The world moves on, and so must I. But how do you move on from a love so profound, from dreams that feel like they've been stolen from you? I cling to my faith, my community. They help me remember that I'm not alone, that my pain, while deep, is shared by those who understand. But no matter how many performances I witness, no matter how many lives I touch through teaching, there's a part of me that remains on that stage with Elias in the Broadway lights we once dreamed of together. And here I am, still waiting for a love that was lost by terror, still hoping that one day the world will be kind enough to let me find a piece of what was taken from me. Until then, I dance in my dreams where Elias waits, where the spotlight still shines for us. Shit, I need a cigarette now.
Boy, shut up. You don't even smoke.
I know, I just thought it would be a dramatic moment to light one up like Mae West did in the 1935 movie Going to Town. Take a deep inhale and gaze into the moonlight.
No, I don't know.
Quit the old fashioned way, cold turkey. Hmm. Oh, every morning, like clockwork, Paul and I, we had our little ritual. Paul, the VP at Bank of America, big shot, but so down to earth. The kind of guy who didn't let his title go to his head. You know, his wife hated smoking. So he'd sneak out early and meet me for coffee, and we'd light up together. Our little secret, um, just two guys shooting the breeze before the day kicked off. We'd stand outside, watching the city wake up, the smell of fresh coffee mixing with the first drag of a cigarette. It was like our way of grounding ourselves before diving into all the chaos. Paul would laugh and say, "This is the best part of the day, Luis. Just us, the coffee, and this." He waved his cigarette like it was some kind of a magic wand. That day, September 11th, it started like no other. We had our coffee, smoked, talked about nothing and everything. And then he looked at his watch and he said, "Time to go back up." He was on the 77th floor and had a meeting or something. He finished his cigarette, crushed it under his toe, and gave me that easy smile of his.
Same time
Same
tomorrow.
time tomorrow, yes. You know it. There was no tomorrow for Paul. I watched him walk back inside and take the elevator up, and that was it. I never saw him again. I went downstairs back to my desk and started catching up on a few emails, and that's when I heard this loud explosion. I work for Xerox, under the tower, and when the first plane hit, I was frozen. I ran upstairs, and all I could see was a fireball in the North Tower, staring up, trying to piece together what I was seeing, what I was feeling. But all I could think about was Paul. And he was up there on the 77th floor, and I couldn't do nothing. People were running out of the building. I would look up and the people running around, and maybe I would catch a glimpse of him getting out, but he never made it out. And after that, I just couldn't do it anymore. I thought of lighting up and going through the same ritual without him, and it made me sick, sick to my stomach, and I couldn't stand the taste, the smell. It was just all wrong. I threw the pack away that day, swore I'd never touch another cigarette again. So yeah, I quit cold turkey on September 11th, 2001. Not because I wanted to, because every time I even thought about it, I saw Paul. I heard his laugh, his voice asking, "Same time tomorrow." And I knew there'd never be a tomorrow like that again.
I lost hope in tomorrow. But Mama always told me to think of this little song that I used to sing in church.
All right now, go and bust a little note for us.
I don't know about tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know about tomorrow. I just live from day to day. I don't borrow from his sunshine, for his skies may turn to gray. I don't worry over the future, for I know what Jesus said. And today I walk still beside him, for he knows what is ahead. So many things about
Thinking about
tomorrow
tomorrow.
I don't
I
seem
don't
to
seem to
understand,
understand,
but
but
I
I
know he
know who
holds
holds
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
And
And I
I know
know who holds my
who
hand.
holds my hand. Wow. That same song is so long since I was a little girl. Thought I really lost the music.
Nah, you ain't lost it, girl. You know you can blow.
So we
Mm,
doing a scene out of Sister Act too?
mm.
Huh? Joyful, joyful Lord, we adore thee.
See, this is why I don't sing in public.
Mm.
You have a voice, Iris, and a
Mm.
story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I ain't supposed to be here, let alone be a cop. You think you know the force? I'll tell you, it's more than just badges and guns and the thrill of a siren. It's a slow grind. The weight of proving yourself every day. They didn't hand me this uniform, baby. I fought for it. And not just against the criminals on the street, but against the very ones I call colleagues. From day one at the academy, it was like stepping into a ring. Me, a darker skinned Puerto Rican woman against, well, everyone else. They threw everything at me, sneers, jeers, the casual, go make coffee comments. And McDonald, oh, Sergeant McDonald, tiring and as Irish as they come, I thought he hated me. He pushed me harder than anyone else every damn day. But what I didn't know then was he was making me tough. Not because he despised me, but because he believed in me. The man had a secret, a wife from Ghana, for beautiful and strong. So he understood on some level the fight. The day before everything changed, well, you know what? We had a real talk, a real heart to heart. He told me, Iris, don't let them stop you. You've got the tools, the heart to go as far as you want. Just don't let those bastards grind you down. Then came September 11th. Morning like any other until it wasn't. We were called to the towers. You know, the ride there was quiet, tense, just the roar of the engine and the crackling of the radio. Stay in the car no matter what, he said as we pulled up. His last order to me, he jumped out and that was it. That was the last time I saw him. I stayed put like he said, but then panicked. Because the smoke, the screams, I jumped out looking for him. That's when the tower came down. I scrambled back into the car, praying, just praying on somehow, how was I spared? Why did he make me stay in the car? Was he protecting me? Or was it just protocol going astray in the chaos? I wrestled with that for years as a rookie. I thought of quitting, thought maybe I wasn't cut out for this, but McDonald's words, they kept coming back. Don't let them grind you down. Now, here I am, head of special victims for his belief in me. His last protective act is what keeps me going. Maybe he knew in that final moment that keeping me safe was his way of enduring that fight he started in me so that it wouldn't die there that day. So I live on. So I fight on for justice for those who can't fight for themselves. And for McDonald, his memory is a beacon, a constant reminder that we choose who we become, no matter the orders we're given.
Mm. Our very own Mariska Hargitay.
But don't make me put you in no handcuffs.
No, I might like it, Mrs. Officer.
You have some family, like a blood lineage type of family.
I guess you can say we have blood ties.
Yeah, I stumbled onto this group by complete accident. My son takes tap upstairs. I pass by the room every day, and finally, when he was taking class, I snuck in the back room and just listened to Luis about how he had to deal with this for many years without therapy or a community.
Same here. I was teaching a free acting class, and that's how I met Khadijah and her beautifully talented son. We began to talk, and she told me about Louise and what he was doing here.
But y'all, it feels like things have changed with the world and how we were so patriotic after the towers came down.
Mm.
When those towers fell, we thought we'd seen the worst of it. The worst that could be done to us from the outside.
It was a defining moment. We were united for a moment against an external threat, against the ideology that wanted to destroy what we stood for.
And then came January 6th.
Hmm.
Every, everything that day back in 2001 stood for democracy, unity, resilience. It felt like it went out the window.
And it did. Those that stormed the Capitol wore flags, carried symbols we salute. They trampled the very democracy we thought was under attack from far off enemies.
Exactly, Khadijah. Like, and then that's the punchline, isn't it?
Yeah.
The greatest threat turned out to be internal.
Mhm.
It's us. We're the ones tearing down what so many fought to uphold.
Our enemies on that September morning wanted to see America crumble from within, divide us. And look now, we're doing it to ourselves without any hijackers of planes.
We've become more like those who were on a suicide mission against their own nation. How do we even begin to deal with that? How do we fight an enemy that's coming from inside the house?
It's the realization that it's hard, very hard. The narratives we hold, the symbols we cherish, they've been hijacked, not just by those terrorists, but now again by our own people. Our challenge isn't just to remember, but it's to understand what we become.
And it's a hard pill to swallow.
Mhm.
We've been focusing so much on fences and border security, we forgot to watch what was festering inside.
Hmm.
Seeing those so called patriots breach the doors of the Capitol and the personnel inside seeks shelter. I thought about how we were trying to get away from the towers.
Mm. Our stories, our experiences, they matter because they remind us of what's at stake. They remind us that rebuilding isn't just about structures, it's about the soul of this country.
The fight for the soul of America isn't over. It didn't end with the cleanup at Ground Zero. It didn't end after they rebuilt. It's right here, right now, in rooms like this, in conversations like ours.
And think about the ironies we live. We fight over statues and symbols from a bygone era while ignoring the live manifestations of that era's ideology in our own streets.
And we've seen the videos, we've heard the cries. It's the same pain, just different decades. What does that say about progress? What does it say about us?
It says we got work to do. It
Mm.
says that each of us has a part in this ongoing story of America, not just the politicians or activists, every single one of us.
Yeah.
So, what do we do?
So we continue. We educate, we fight, we build, not just for us, but for the generations to come. Right? Because if we don't, who will?
And by doing that, we're showing respect to the ones we've lost, isn't it?
Let me tell you something, white lady.
Oh, Iris, come on now.
Okay, no, we good, sis. I might come off hard, but it's because these folks here, they're my family. We all lost something profound that day. Something that inexorably pulled each of us to this very place, to this exact moment. And you've lost something too, haven't you? Here you stand. Oh man, you created a haven here. This space, it draws in people who need it, people who might not have anywhere else to turn. It's more than just a meeting spot. It's like a lifeline for those of us who didn't have the means for therapy or the community. It's our sanctuary where we can be heard, be seen, and begin to heal together. So I'm glad you found us. We're family now.
My life, No, it ain't been no crystal stair, not by a long stretch. After 9/11, my whole world flipped. My mom, yeah, she went into this dark place, a depression, they call it. I was just 13, but overnight I had to grow up quickly. I had to be the one looking after her. If I did, I'd have made her ward of the state money. I'd get dumped in the roughest orphan boarding school around here. I knew I wouldn't come out of that hole. But there was something else. A pull. I was meant to go to New York or something. I ended up getting a full scholarship out of here, studying filmmaking. Mom passed a month before I left school. Like she was holding on until I got to college. That was my way out, my chance to make something of myself. To tell the stories that never got told, that the voices from that day that got lost in the noise. I just hope this will make Mom and Dad proud, you get me? Lewis, you lot, all you lot, you took me in, yeah? Give me a chance to be part of something bigger than my own struggles. And now, I want to do more than just tell your stories. I want you to have a stake in them with me. Here's the paperwork. Thank you all producers on the documentary. It ain't just me project, it's yours. It's ours. Our story, our truth, and together we're gonna make sure everyone hears it, you get me?
You are welcome here anytime.
You know this picture? It's just more than lines on paper. Your father drew this. Back then, it was his way of coping, of holding on to the city he loved, even as it changed. He gave it to me, a little piece of his heart, his way of seeing the city. And now I think it's time to find a new home. Olivia, I want you to have this. Your journey, what you're setting out to do, it's important. You're giving voice to so many silent stories. Maybe this can be a part of that voice too, a symbol of what was, what still is, and what can be.
Khadijah, I don't know what to say. This means the world, yeah? I've seen photos of his work, but this is the first time I've seen it up close. To think your dad saw the city like that, and now you're trusting me with it. It's more than an honor. It's a reminder of what we do, why we do it. Cheers, yeah? Means a lot. I'll proper treasure this, yeah? And I swear it's going to be part of our story. Like a beacon in our film.
I know that he would want you to have it.
With
The
the
fight
dust
for
settled at ground zero. It's alive here, echoing in the gaps between our joined hands. Where the rubble was, now stand our voices. Loud, clear, unyielding. This ground we stand on, sacred with memory, tells stories not just of loss, but of continuance.
Pull that baby out like that.
We ain't just survivors, we're warriors. In the face of erasure, in the swirl of the forgotten, our truths anchor us, unmovable like the bedrock beneath.
ironies dance around us like shadows at dusk. We wrestle with statues, symbols of past pains, while the streets beneath our feet whisper the live tales of yesterday's doctrines. This fight, it's about memory, about justice, about how we honor the echoes of past struggles, not just in books, not just in speeches, but in the living breath of those still fighting for a piece of the peace we promised.
We've seen the videos and heard the cries. different decades, same pain. What does that say about us, about progress? It says we ain't done yet. It says our work ain't over. Every shout, every protest, every voice raised is a brick in the rebuild of our humanity, a step towards the America we're still dreaming of. Each word we speak, a declaration each day we wake, a revolution, our very breaths, acts of defiance against the silence they impose.
So we continue, educate, fight, build, not just for us, but for the seeds we're planting, for the kids who will stand here one someday wondering what their forebears did. In the face of injustice, in the eye of denial, we are the legacy of those who didn't falter. We are the dreams of the new dawns. We're builders of bridges over bloody waters. We carry the torches, light up the night with fires fueled with our foremothers' fervor.
And in the shared struggle, we find communion. In telling our stories, we stitch the fabric of a new flag, one that doesn't shrink from truth, and one that wraps its stars, its stripes round every lost voice, giving them weight, giving them light, turning mourning into a mural of hope. This image, these towers, they're more than just steel and shadow. They're beacons of what was, or what still is, and what can be. A reminder of the heights we've soared, the depths we've seen, and the heights we'll rise to again and again.
This is our narrative, our stitched together symphony of souls.
Here in the space, we claim our piece of the American quilt.
Woven not from one thread, but many.
Cuddled with pain, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of joy.
We stand as witnesses to history, as architects of the future.
And we will not be silenced, not be stilled.
Until the promise of this land aligns with the reality of its people.
We're the pulse in the concrete, the heartbeat of the streets, the spirit that never sleeps.
We're the echoes of the ancestors, the voice of the silence, the dreamers of new dawns.
Our stories are the soul of the city, the breath of the struggle, the dance of defiance.
I am the lens capturing the unseen, the scribe.
From the roots to the stars, we rise, we fight, we shine.
In every whisper, a storm brews. In every silence, a dream pulses.
We are the architects of the unseen, molding a world that dares to remember.
All righty, guys. Can y'all hear me? Thumbs up, yes. Yay. Give yourselves a round of applause. We made it through. Yay. I know we had some technical difficulties at the beginning, but stuff happens. It is what it is.
Technology.
I ain't tripping at all. Um, but of course, as I'm sitting here listening to the words and listening to y'all's, you know, speak and perform, of course, I'm sitting here with notes and thinking about things to work on, fix, or whatever for the script. But one of the things that I definitely want the readers to know, the list of watchers to know, is that this is a virtual table reading. This is kind of like my step one of the workshop process. And for me, anyone that has been a part of the Color Boys journey from day one, and one of the people that I know would be here right now if she was still on this earth, and that's my
Mm.
longtime collaborator, Yaya Smith. She would be here ready for our conversation after this is over to give me notes and to figure out what is what. But she was there day one. And, this is a process, and this is a process that I curated with her. And, so we have kind of like our own little language of, how to workshop, a script. And so, this is dedicated to you, Yaya. this moment, because this is one of the moments where she would really get on my ass, as a writer. So I'm definitely thankful to this process and this time. But yeah, so thoughts, actors, readers. I see Andrew, oh, the Andrew Creech, honey. That's another playwright. He is on and watching. I know that I'm having some technical difficulties bringing Shay up, but Shay, if you can text me your questions, and or you can either type them in the chat. You can go into the YouTube chat. You can type them there, or you can type them to me, and then I will be the co-facilitator of the moderating section. But let's go ahead and get started with you actors one by one. I know that you haven't really had a lot of time to sit with the script, and go through your process. But give me some feedback. Let's keep it kind of short because I want to definitely make sure that we keep this time about 30 minutes. But give me some feedback on, as you were reading, your thoughts, and as an actor, taking on these characters.
Well, I'll start with my first thought is I really love I'll talk about the moment in the play that I love the most, and then specifically my character. But the moment that really stands out for me is Khadijah's monologue when she describes that imagery that you created, about the rain that never came, but the bodies dropping, and like that to me is just, it's so symbolic, right? So it's symbolic because of the tears, it's symbolic because of something that actually happened, it's symbolic because they're still weeping and wailing inside the water, like all of the symbolism that's wrapped into just that one moment, right? And that opens us up, right? She gets that thing off. And so I would say I would really love, and I know, writing wise, it may not be, realistic to have everybody have such a symbolic piece such as that. But, and I think you've kind of actually done that. Even when it comes down to uh, Miguel and his relationship, I think all of the writing in terms of these characters and how they have pictured, how they reminisce about that day and that time and their connections to it, I think is just really, really beautifully written. Specifically with my character Louise, I actually kind of wonder, you know, what else does he feel inside? And I'm wondering that because, as Khadijah mentions, she came into the room with him expressing how he's had to deal with all of this trauma on his own without a community. And I really wonder, what is that like? Like, what was that like? Like, for him to go through that moment first, just knowing, having being a person who knows about trauma, knows about loss, and how profound that can be, even when it's just a friend, right? Just a coworker, but for it to be so profound on him that he simply just stops enjoying a pastime that he used to share with this particular person. And I think that that was a moment for me where I really would like to see how you could expand that even more. This idea of how he created this space, and their journeys together, like a before and after almost, throughout the piece.
Yeah, I'm moved by Iris's monologue, her soliloquy, in terms of like um, pushing forward, um, being a woman, being an officer, being a Black Latinx, what that road was like, how she climbed every rung, and how she kept McDonald's, memory as the thing that kept propelling her, and what that does in terms of her psyche, knowing that she had this opportunity. Like, he could have sat in the car. Like, the rookie usually gets the grunt work, right? You like, go see what's happening. But it was like she's starting fresh, and he's giving, and allowing her to have ownership of her life, and how that weighs on her, like how she wears her badge with honor for him and for herself, you know.
That was pretty much my take with Iris. Iris was more to me, she's real strong. She's a strong because she had to be strong in order to make it through, everything of what she was going through to be on the police force, especially, in NYC. I'm pretty sure they're a lot more tough as well. Not to say no one else is, but I can understand New York City. But from that standpoint. But she used a lot of, I guess you could say, comedy with her pain. So it's like a passive aggressive thing that she has, and that's how she maintains, as with the smart remarks and the comedy, which I like about her. And so that's what I gather from her, to where it's really nothing more to be done with her, because it's just there. It's blunt, it's there, and she gives it to you like it is. And she has her quiet back moments to let people know, hey, I'm not just a hard ass. I can be soft, but don't push me. I take it there.
Hmm.
What I
I think
enjoy.
that's another moment when it comes down to, living like living in New York. A lot of people will say, "Oh my God, New Yorkers are so rude." Now they just blunt.
Hmm.
It's what it is in the moment, and keep it moving. There's some, and I, and what you say, Rebecca?
No, I was just saying they're also busy in New York. They have places to go. And
Yeah,
what if
move out the damn way. Let me get to the subway. I might miss my train or whatever.
Right.
But so I tried to bring in those things, that I know of New York. But then also, like the one moment when Iris says, "Now listen here, white lady," and Khadijah was like, "Oh, hold on. She seems to be good people." And
Yeah.
then Iris was like, "No, okay, she is. I'm good with her." But I'm sorry, Dorian, I cut you off. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, you fine. I was just thinking, before for me, one thing that stuck out the most was Luis's monologue and the story behind the cigarette. One simple thing that if I
Mm,
was in the audience, anytime I would see the prop on the stage with the cigarette, that story would be tied forever to it. And even the bits and pieces of Paul popping in with same time tomorrow, those
Mm.
how that phrase means something the first time and how full it is the second time you hear it
mhm,
because Paul is no longer here. That right there, as I listened to that tonight, that'd be one of those moments that if I was in the audience, I probably would have cried by the end of that moment right there because how touching it is. Something so simple as a cigarette and how I used to do this all the
Yeah.
time. And I can't do it anymore because who I did it with is no longer here. And
mhm.
so I can even enjoy the simplicity of it spoke volumes to me.
And in watching some of the documentaries, there's this one documentary that I watched, and they were talking about this one guy where he was like a security officer or whatever, and he was someone that they saw, daily, but it was somebody that they exchanged like maybe 10 seconds with, in on their way to go to wherever they had to go. And so it was in hearing their stories about him going back, like he was able to usher down a group of people, right? But then he was like, "Well, I gotta go back." And they were like, "No." But he went back. And of course, by the time he went back, the tower had came down. And you would listen to how they would describe this moment, right? And you would think that they're talking about a brother, a sister, a loved one, so those little bitty interactions that people had daily with people that seemed very weren't minute. They were that these
Mhm,
people formed community. When you see somebody you work with every day, like that whole term of "that's my work husband, that's my work wife," all of that. So a lot of people had these really strong bonds, and formed community, that and they didn't get to see these people walk out with them. So we got Shay in the chat. So I'm glad that we have her in the chat. Anything? One thing about Shay. Shay and I, we have a lot in common. She's a playwright as well, but she is a multi hyphenate in the business. But she's also the owner and curator of Black Stage Everything. So make sure everybody go and follow that platform on Instagram. But Shay, she said, I just want to ask the actors, how do they feel about how Olivia is treated in the script? Let's start with you, Florence. How do you feel about Khadijah?
How do I feel about Olivia as Khadijah?
I mean, my bad.
Um, yeah, yeah, no. I think in the beginning there's so much hostility, but I think what happens is she becomes real to her, fleshed out when she has a moment where she remembers the stories that Abeyo would tell about his wife and daughter. So now it's not that this is just a white woman. This is a child. This she has muscle memory of a story and stories of a child that was loved by this father, and she knows the good in the father. So it's not about like nature versus nurture. It's like every good thing about him and the wife is now realized and texturized and visualized in this living, breathing legacy of someone that's no longer here.
Yeah.
And I think that she becomes warm and endeared to her. Like it's almost like, okay, well, I was like his sister. This is now my play niece, and I'm gonna take care of her. I'm gonna let her see that there's ugly, but I'm gonna be the one to like cover her. And when you hear that her mom dies in the most integral part and most life changing parts of her life, when she's going to college, like 18, 19 years old, she's had to raise her mom from this tragedy of her father not being there, and then she loses her mom. So she's, for all intents and purposes, an orphan. So she is her family now, because I don't
Yeah,
think
all over
Khadijah,
again.
outside of her son, has it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I,
Uh,
let me
Diamantina, your thoughts on how she's treated in the script and how you treat her?
go.
Well, it's basically treated as like she's an outsider and an intruder. Once more, white folks trying to come in and expound on us and just trying to take over, basically. And it's like, why? Why is she here? Here we go again. Yeah, yada yada yada. Girl, I ain't trying to hear you. You just finna give us these white little lies, and then you finna go to Hollywood and sell our stories, and we just still here dealing with all this mess as in the script. So it's like that's why that was my attitude towards her. It's because it's like, why are you here? What is the point of this? But then as you get to hear her and you get to see you know, as always, we're just the forgiving type and we give people that opportunity and chance. Yeah. And so we give her that opportunity to express herself and to show that, hey, all right, we letting you in, cut up, and you out of here. So yeah, she had to be treated like that because it's like this is supposed to be about us. And here you come.
Hmm. Dorian, your thoughts?
Just in general, just to echo what she just said, it's like one of those things where you know how we, or not we, because I ain't including myself in this statement I'm gonna make, but everybody likes to invite everybody to the cookout.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So much so that I don't know if I want to be at the cookout because y'all inviting everybody there. And it's one of those things like, okay, if you're gonna be here, you're gonna be here on our terms. This is
Yeah.
our story, our grief, our life, and you're not going to come in here and try to just hijack our stuff for the sake of making a dollar, which, like she said,
Mhm.
has been done so many times before. So I think it was that healthy apprehension, like, all right, now we've been in here, we all have a shared story, we've been in here talking about this, and you just come out the blue, want to make a documentary. And
Mhm.
that's why Miguel and they were talking about, okay, what about what happened with Paris is Burning? Like all them people, everybody in the world know them, but none of them had any money. A lot of them died broke, but the person that made it gets paid, you know. So it's like I said, it's a healthy apprehension that eased up when she proved herself in a case where she had to prove herself. She proved herself to be friendly,
Mhm.
and to be somebody that was going to actually listen and hear, not listen to respond, but to hear us
Mhm.
and really understand or try to understand who we are and what we've gone through. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Uh, TM.
Yeah, no, I love the character. I like how the character is used in this piece, in terms of as a teaching mechanism. I'll say, the fact that she's taught to see the humanity in individuals, to really listen, and to is really the fact that she's really invited into this sacred space. She wants to come in, and so they kind of really, I love the hell that they give her before they really open up. I feel like it's necessary,
Mhm.
because I feel like if she wasn't given that hell, she would have felt entitled to it, like most feel entitled to it. But I think that difficulty and that challenge that she experienced, before she was able to even just again listen amongst them. And I also like the correction that she was given in that given in that moment in time,
Mhm.
where she slipped into that space of where many, I'll say, white saviors like to slip into. How Khadijah quickened her and was just like, that ain't why you here, and if that's why you here, you can leave. Right, this ain't, that's not how you do it. And so I really love that teachable moment. That will hopefully be a teachable moment for society, about listening. So yeah.
And Rebecca, what did you think of the character?
No, I think it's
Great.
really lovely arc because she comes in being like, "Cool, let's do this." Okay, I just want to collect your stories, and which is very naive, but also a reflection of that there is this pattern, um, of of these people coming in and collecting stories that are not from that are from others. Um, and then monetizing off of them, which makes sense as to why like there's suspicion, like that, that like there kind of should be. So it makes sense. But I think she's got this really lovely arc of not only is she invited into this group of people by the end, but she also grows herself and realizes her own the naivete that she came in with into this situation. By the end, I think she really does understand, or is on the path to understanding, uh, and realizing what it is to tell other people's stories. Yeah.
Great answer. Great answer. So, one of the things about this process, that Yaya and I, we talk about a lot. We still talk about it, right? Yaya?
Hmm.
Yeah, you do.
Um, and it's, as the playwright, and Shay, we talked about this as well. As the playwright, we have to, be very vulnerable in this process, because I don't care how great you are, how great you think you are as a playwright. If you don't open yourself up to criticism, the
Mhm.
work will never grow. The work will never,
Mhm.
be what it needs to be, because you're standing in the way. And
Mhm.
so one of the questions, that I'm asking, from your time that you've had with the script, or you can even email this to me later, or whatever, but I've taken some of the notes that you guys have given. But what are some of the things that you think it needs? Like, what, because this is just like the first step in the process of workshopping a script. So what are some of the things that you think that it could use a little bit of this, a little bit of that, or whatever?
I think breaking it up in terms of spacing. I think from how it's portrayed, it looks like it's a one day thing that everything happens. I think it should be
Yeah.
almost seem a gradual, like there's a different, like every week or month, you can see the transition and the move and the changes in each character, right? I think that allows it to be more realistic. Like we're not changing, like, because it's a
Mhm.
couple of hours and like we love you. No, you're listening to one person's story and how that viscerally might affect you, and then you're coming into that next story, whether it's a week or a month, the next month, and then you see the warming of each person as they're telling the story. Like that's the thawing out for that individual towards her.
I
and a
also
breakthrough for themselves also.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also think that there could be that just a little bit of a deeper um exploration with those very um I- I'll say ordinary individuals, right? Uh, like it was interesting to hear exactly why Elias was in the building. Right, he was in the building doing something, but just the purpose of them being there, what they would do, like kind of like what Khadijah was saying. Oh, I was working there every day doing X, Y, Z, so on and so forth. I think just really drawing out those stories of the individuals who are probably again, like like Luis says, not necessarily a significant individual, but what they were doing in the building on that particular day. If it was a routine thing for them, what was that like for them? In a sense of even painting the picture for those who, Luis talks about the generations to come a lot. There are some kids who have no clue, right, and who will never understand what life was like during that moment in time. I also There was one documentary that I saw, and I thought it was so interesting, and I would love to see how you could draw this out in the play. They dropped in other things that were happening that day, news wise, newsworthy things, right? I
Right, the
think
Black album
somebody
came
said.
out. Like the Jay-Z
Hmm.
album came out.
I
Sure
think
did.
somebody
Yep.
said something about Jordan was going back to the NBA or something like that. Like just whatever else was happening throughout that day to really set the tone, really put a taste in in our mouths. So that
Hmm.
as we go through this journey, it can begin to to churn and whatnot. Yeah.
I can
That's a
even
great
see that
point.
as a media moment. Like, as they're talking, you see this whole thing of, like a projection, of Jay-Z and the album, just, things, something that's said, but it doesn't have to be said.
Right. Mm.
That's
Hmm.
an idea. Uh, Dorian, what do you think?
Everything that Florence, that's Florence at the end. Yeah,
Huh?
everything that I was trying to see the names on the phone. Everything that she said, I agree with the spreading it out so that way the earning of the trust isn't just, oh, you listen to us for a little bit, okay, now we trust you, but you really gotta, if you really want to get on this train, you really gotta buckle up for this ride. You really gonna have to go through every dark tunnel, every twist and turn of the trauma that we have sustained from this day before we can really trust you. Like we have to know, because trust is not earned like that. It's a gradual thing. So I agree. Just want to echo what Florence said.
My last comment, I think, is me being a mover and it being a choreo play. I think that there's something that can happen either before each meeting or ending each meeting. I think it's at the ending of the meeting, just that thing that they do to kind of, I don't know, to break themselves, if you will, because I know
Hmm.
some. I've never been to AA or any of those things, and I'm not knocking those. Please go. But what I do know is that they have some type of a mantra, some type of a step, some type of something, and I think
They get
that
a
that
coin and
thing.
stuff.
I
Mm-hmm.
think that that thing can be a physical thing that they do
Hmm.
that shows up physically some type of way, and I think that could be dope as a choreo play.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Diamantina.
I was thinking as everybody was talking, because I was like, I understand y'all want to draw it out, but when it's like a choreo play or like a choreo poem, like an Intizaki's for Color Girls, and I was a part of that, it's more like the way it's written, you just have to like kind of just really follow to see what is being said and what is being presented without a whole lot of shebang and everything
Yeah.
that
Now I'm thinking
normal
maybe
play is
more
going on.
lighting, maybe more
Yeah,
lighting
Hmm.
change or
Lighting
something
yeah.
like
or
that.
yeah.
So that's just how that's pretty much basically how I see it as far as that, because you don't want to kind of draw too much out to where you bore people. with the stories and stuff like that. You want to just kind of get it there to where they do know we was there as well. Black people was there. Black people were hurt. You know, all the black Latinas and everything. They had a story to tell as well. It was more than just white people that worked there at the towers.
Mhm.
So this is beautiful getting the story across,
Mhm.
but I'm more so focused to where just being straight. I'm basically getting back into that Irish, being straight to the
Mhm.
point, okay, and make it known to people that hey, we hurt, we have not healed. It's been 23 years. People still suffering because hey, we didn't have the money like them. We didn't have the resources like them. So
Mhm.
hear us, learn
Mhm.
what we are going through, and send some help our way.
You know what? Now that you mention that, I do want to say that because that's something that's been on my mind and my heart and my spirit, and since I've seen this and been to the memorial and that sort of thing, and I think I've spoken on this before. I would love for these characters to kind of speak on that absence, and I call it like a void, right? This void of lack of access of just representation when it comes down to the documentation that we've seen. Where are the phone calls and voicemails of the black
Yeah,
individuals, of the people
yeah.
of color? Like, because I know
Mhm.
the first thing that goes to my mind, when it comes down to those phone calls that were coming from the airplanes, you know, must have sucked not to have been able to afford a ticket or afford a cell phone to where you can call from the actual airplane, right?
Yeah,
A person who is not a person of means didn't
Yeah.
get that luxury,
yeah,
right?
that's
And I wouldn't mind hearing somebody talk about that. Like, oh, my friend, they got all the voicemails and that sort of thing. I didn't get a voicemail. I can't remember what their voice sounds like. All I'm left with is a memory of them walking away or whatever the case may be, and that resonates throughout the thing as well. But also talking about that, and maybe that's in Louise's part. I don't know, but
yeah.
just that struggle and the trauma is the simple fact that you're searching through all of these things, all of these memorials that people are having, all of this documentation that's going up, the opening of the museum and all this other kind of stuff, and you don't see yourself or the community that you're close to, right?
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree. And
Yeah.
even with going back to the thing with the passage of time, just for a point of clarity, it didn't have to be like drawn out, but something that will mark, because
Mm-hmm.
in the reality of when you're dealing with people with trauma, they're
Hmm.
not going to be so trusting right off the bat. There's a guard there. It doesn't have to be whole scene changes. It could be something, just something where, like in the movement, like TM said, the whole closing and the opening of the meeting, and like Florence said, with lighting, you could tell a million stories with one light, just by positioning and the way that you put it. Just something that will give the people in the audience an understanding of, okay, Olivia has been dedicated to coming here and being in these people's presence
Okay.
to earn the trust to get the stories, and it can still flow that way. But I think in that, people need to see, okay, they didn't just bring her in and
Mhm.
trust her, because if, especially for those
Yeah.
that are like we say unchurched or untheatered, to come in that don't understand how the stage may work, there's something for them at the most basic level can understand, okay, time has passed and she's been here.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
think like we were saying, using all of those theatrical elements to
Hmm.
tell the story. Even there's moments where the dance can tell the story. The transitions in and
Oh,
out
Hmm.
of the moments can tell the story as well. But there's definitely ways to. That's what I love about theater, and one as being a choreographer as well, is that with being a choreographer, you get to manipulate the eye. And
Hmm.
then with being a playwright, director, all of that, you get to manipulate time, place, and action. So
Yeah.
all of those things really come to play. But definitely being able to play with time. There's one of the things that I'm working on, and I'm working on a musical called The Boy from Troy, which is a musical about John Lewis's life. And when you're writing a musical, you got to get from point here all the way to here in 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Sort of
And,
like Smoky Joe's Cafe, how it told the whole story through song.
so you got, and using those
Mhm.
things, with time. And so in the script, one of the things that we use is the radio.
Mhm.
He's listening to Roy Orbison. Then all of a sudden you hear this radio moment, and he's listening to the Hawkins. So you get to hear
Yeah,
the music is telling, it's playing with the
story.
time and the story.
Mhm.
So there's different things that we can play with, in manipulated time. Olivia, I mean, no, Rebecca, what are your thoughts? Things that could be added to and or maybe taken away.
I think they're all. I'd like to hear. Well, one of the first things that I thought about was hearing more from Miguel about about this relationship, because we get that they were sexually compatible, but but it would be cool to hear some other elements of the relationship. Um, uh, um, but I also agree with everyone where like if there was a way to like even have trades like in between scenes, um, or in between everybody's moment, that could also give some nice passage of time stuff. Like even if so we it could stay like an hour long, 42-minute script, but maybe even have like these like moments of time freezing or sorry, my director brain was turning on.
Yeah.
Uh, um, but I think it's a really, really lovely piece. It there's echoes of Tony Kushner. I'm not sure how many times you read Angels in America, but like I was
I
very
have read it over and over and over again, and I've directed it
oh,
once.
but I had this moment of like one of the last moments, just like in that play, was of Khadijah saying, "We're not going to shut up, and we're not going to. Our stories will not be silenced anymore." Um, which was very much reminded me of what Pryor said at the end of Angels. Um,
Yeah.
uh, um, and I mean, it's. I think there's some really, really lovely stuff here. So well done. I don't know if we said that,
Yeah,
Oh,
everyone.
thank you.
but
Yeah.
well done, Brian Keith.
Thank
It's
you
funny
so
when
much.
when you said something about Miguel. One of the things that really hit me profoundly as I reflect on today date is that I lost quite a few friends in the tragedy, but Miguel was one of the very few that was able to find Elias's or be able to, what does that do for him when
Yeah,
a lot of others
yeah,
don't have that? He got, the bittersweet moment of knowing where he was and getting to see his remains or being part of that. And there are others that don't even have identifiable parts of the
yeah.
ones that they lost and how that
Mhm.
might weigh on him.
Mhm.
Yeah. And also
That's
I'm,
interesting.
in thinking about how, the character Miguel, and he's being able to come down and see uh Elias's remains,
Yeah,
I'm getting into my Mama Odie moment where I'm digging a little deeper, and I'm thinking that, okay, did Elias almost make it out? Mm.
Mm.
uh,
If you're able to see remains,
yeah,
Hmm.
then,
uh,
or did he make it out and
So
he was just
close.
so close because of the timing of how the towers came down, and
mhm.
he didn't die from being in the collapsible moment. He died running away from
Right.
the smoke cloud. Did
Mm.
Elias have bad asthma? Did he have a
Mm.
breathing moment?
Yeah,
So
Mm.
those are things that, digging a little bit deeper, and, like we say in the writing world, layering the story, and
yeah,
adding more layer to it. So there's some things that I can think about as well. And even like with Khadijah, there's a monologue that I wrote, um, called "In the Morning," and it was just a poetic piece, about, stand in front of the mirror, lipstick, hair, wrapped, ears, earrings, all of this. Ooh, look how it looks outside. Beautiful day. Why do I feel like I got to tell everybody I love you today? What is this? What
Mm.
urge? I just need to say,
Yeah.
that. That's
Mhm.
what that monologue is about. Why do I feel that I gotta tell
Right.
everybody I love you?
Mm.
But I'm gonna do that, and she's like not wanting to wake up the whole house because she has to get up so early in the morning, but she goes in, she's like waking up, I just want to tell you I love you before I go to work. And then
Mm.
that day happens.
Ooh.
Uh,
Yeah. What
Wow.
about
so
even Iris? She's in the car. She can't get out, and she's watching people run in, like
Mm.
like firefighters running in, and she's
mhm.
like, "Wait,
What do I
I,
do? He told me to stay in the car, like
yeah, I'm paralyzed and I'm
want
staying
to
in the
help.
car, but other people are running in. What is that doing to her? How does that fuel her? Is that the is that the fire, the oil to her fire?
Mm.
Yeah. So I'm seeing that we can definitely be talking about this a long time, and I do want to be a steward over time.
You want to be
Everyone,
demure and
I
mindful.
you are not going to catch me saying that. Being a linguist, no, not gonna say it. But yes, being mindful. Being mindful. Yes, that's the word, mindful. Again, thank you all so much. And like I said in our rehearsal yesterday, it's a blessing to be able to call up actors and say, hey, I wrote this script. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's a piece of poo poo la caca, but I wrote this script
Come play with
and
me.
come, let's do this thing. And, I'm so thankful, to that, and thankful to the relationships that we built over the years, honey. Because, like I said, Diamantina and I, we have been in this game for a long time, and I have grown to know each of you. And Rebecca is the newbie; she's the new one. Um, that has joined the merry gang of people that I've worked with. So I'm really excited, about what the script is going to be, as I continue to evolve and develop it. A big shout out to my friend, my boo, as I call her, Dara Seitzman. She is in London, and she was giving me some great pointers on the character of Olivia. But Dara's originally from Michigan. She moved there for her husband's job, and one of the things that's really funny. We talk about how she's this Michigan girl raising these two British kids because they have accents. So I'm really thankful for the pointers that she gave me as I am working on this script. But other than that, for those of you that are in Texas, we do have auditions for The Tempest that is set in New Orleans post Hurricane Katrina.
Oh,
Auditions are now. Please send in your stuff.
By
Um,
September 20th.
by September 20th, and hopefully this summer. And this, I don't know, I haven't announced the season yet, but I can tell you the first two shows that we have going up are The Other America, which is going to be a Stage and Spice event where it's going to be a dining event with cocktail hour, three-course meal, conversation, and a play. A choreo poem, The Other America. But then we will go into The Tempest, as our official season opener for the Southern Soul Theater Ensemble. That's my new theater company. So get into it, y'all. But the thing is, there's the rub as I'm in my Shakespeare moment. We are closing the season with For Colored Boys.
Oh,
oh,
So, so that's really exciting.
You
But
know how I
another
feel
thing,
about myself.
we're closing the season with For Color Boys because I was like, I cannot have an inaugural season and For Color Boys not
and
be
not
in
have
it.
right,
Um,
Duh.
right.
and we're opening our Hot Girl Summer series with Shantez's play Blue and Green. So she's not really here to talk about it, but we'll have another powwow. But again, it's so exciting and fun to be able to one produce your own work,
Yeah.
but even more so to produce your friends' work as well.
Yeah.
So Andrew is a fabulous actor, multi hyphen in his business, but he is a damn great, fabulous playwright as well. So this is really a great thing to be able to have this moment of being able to tell stories like this on my watch and not have to worry about another artistic director's, you know, eyes or hands on what we're doing. But it's
True.
also another great opportunity to be able to have the moment to produce my friend's works. So I'm really excited about that. But again, you guys, thank you so much for your time. We are going to end our stream here. Thank you for those that were watching, that were coming in and watching. Thank you guys so much. And stay tuned, especially those that are in the Galveston County area. We are bringing Broadway caliber theater to Galveston County, my hometown of
Right
Lamar,
now.
Texas. Whoever thought
This
that I
ain't
would say something
Texas.
like that? Lord, this ain't Texas, but I never thought that I'd be saying something like that, but it's happening. It's happening. Um, but other than that, you guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Andrew. Andrew just posted. Thank you guys so much, and go eat dinner. I'm hungry.
It's 10
Yeah,
o'clock, almost 10 o'clock here, past dinner time.
yeah. All righty, love you. Thank y'all so much. Y'all have a great evening.
Good night. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.